Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and in this video, I'm gonna take you directly inside of the brand new Sony A9 III. I'm taking you into the electronic viewfinder so you see exactly what you would see if you put your eye up to the viewfinder and started taking photos. There's a couple of things I want to point out and explain. For one, we can't open RAW files just yet, but I did start off by shooting RAW plus JPEG, and then I switched into just JPEG fine because I wanted to squeeze out more space on that memory card, because when you're shooting at 120 frames per second like I was in this situation, you're gonna get a lot more files when you're shooting JPEG versus shooting RAW. Now keep in mind that we're still on a pre-production camera with pre-production firmware that is still at 0.8. It's not full production firmware as of yet because this camera isn't coming until March. Now one thing I want to point out that you're going to see on the screen is you're going to see the pre-shoot icon. It's this new icon that looks like a top hat, but it's really just a shutter with some arrows. And when you're holding the shutter button halfway down, you're going to see that light up green, meaning it is pre-buffering for a predetermined amount of time that you set the pre-shoot buffer to be. Now I set it to 1/4 of a second, which you're gonna see at the end of this video really came in handy when I was photographing basketball, because I was late on something, but I ended up getting the entire shot because I had the pre-shooting buffer. And the last thing that you'll notice is when I am taking photos, you'll see a magenta box blinking around the screen. That's to let you know that I'm actually taking photos, and then you'll see the buffer in the top left-hand corner. But now, let's take you inside of the Sony A9 III. So what you see on the screen right now is what you get when you hit the playback button and you set the camera to put a burst all together, because you do have the option to look at images one at a time, but when you're shooting at 120 frames per second, that's a lot to go through. So in this case, you could play back a video sequence of what you're doing and you could stop and star the image that you want, or when you have them all clumped together, you can arrow through them. You can start starring the ones that you want so that when you bring it into the computer, you don't have to go through all of them again. You can just go right to the ones that you starred. Also, during playback, you can see which images were captured with pre-capture because the icon shows up on the screen, and when it's not with pre-capture, that icon goes away. But now I want to take you into the computer because I want to show you some of the images. Keep in mind, pre-production camera, editing JPEG, some with FroPack 4, some are just straight up not edited at all, but I'm not going to comment so much on the quality yet because I want to wait till we get the RAW files. But look what happens right off the bat. Look at all of these images when you're taking bursts of 120. This is 2,816 images. But remember when you starred some of them? So let me just go ahead and hit 1 stars, because 1 stars, this is where we went through. You have 1 stars, you have 2 stars. That's where you can go through on the back of the camera and just star in a sequence so that the images show up and you don't have to go through all of them after the fact, because this is a lot of images to go through. But I went ahead and starred a bunch of them we'll talk about them. This one, not edited at all. You can see I'm at 1/8,000th of a second, at 1.8 at 4,000 ISO with the 135 1.8, and it is locked right on the ball, and the ball is perfectly round. That is fantastic. That is what you're looking for. And this is what the 120 allows you to do. Go through and sequence through, and then boom, we are right on the racket. Ball right on paddle, and it's perfect. Now, one of the things I want to point out here, I don't know if these are imperfections or this is something that happens with the lens. I don't think it is. What I think it is the shadow or the backlight that's happening, because there was a big ass light behind us, those are big windows, that might be what is causing this in the frame. Not totally sure what that is exactly. Let me jump in here real quick because I want to show you FroPak 4 in action on the brand new 302.8 from Sony because, well, we can't edit the A9 III RAW files just yet, so let's do this. We're going to hit it with Blue's Clues, followed by Brooklyn, C41, Coppertone, DeLorean, High C, Kaleidoscope, Mel Brooks, Saltwater Taffy, Thick, Tintype, and Wet Hot American Summer, but we might as well try a JPEG from the A9 III. Let's hit it with some Kaleidoscope and boom. So look, if you want to speed up your RAW workflow or just give yourself a great starting point, we created 14 all new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at FroKnowsPhoto.com/FroPak4. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters, and if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale, or if you want to get the Grand Slam bundle, which includes FroPak 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can save even more. And don't forget about the Super Huger Mega Camera giveaway, where I'm giving one of you the chance to spend $4,999 of my own money on anything you want at Alan's Camera. So now, let's get back to the video. When we move forward, this girl that was spinning the baton, you can see as Steven stops the footage from the EVF that even when he stops the electronic viewfinder footage, it's still straight. You can see exactly what a global shutter sensor is doing here by firing all pixels at once. There's no jelloing and no rolling shutter gonna happen. These things are gonna be absolutely straight. Straight right there, and straight right here as she was spinning that thing super duper fast. But moving into the basketball, you get the guy soaring through the air, which is absolutely fantastic right here. But I want to show you this sequence. This is a sequence of 67. So we've got a guy coming towards the basket right here, right? Now, this is something that you couldn't do with the Canon R3. You could do 195 frames per second for up to 50 frames, but you couldn't get continuous autofocus. With this, we're at 120 frames per second with continuous autofocus and metering as the guy is flying through the air. But one thing that you'll notice, I don't start shooting photos until right here. And if I didn't have the pre-release, I wouldn't be able to go back and be like, oh, here we go. We got him launching, which is still a great photo, and then going all the way here. So I was just late on it for some reason. Maybe I was just waiting for the peak action instead of just firing all the way through. And because I had that quarter of a second pre-shooting burst, I was able to go back in time and get the thing that I missed because I didn't react quick enough on the shutter. Or did I do that as a test? I don't know, I don't recall. I think I just didn't react quick enough on the shutter. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We're gonna have a lot more when we get our hands on a full production firmware camera and full production camera when I could take it out into the real world and shoot it myself and not have all these setups. But it is really cool to see what the pre-shooting does and what the 120 frames per second burst mode can do. I've been asking for pre-shooting for a long time with full autofocus and RAW capability, and we have it right here. And I want that in all of my cameras because you saw how it helped me with the basketball. I mean, honestly, it helps you with the ping pong, or as my dad would say, ganip ganop. But with the ping pong, she's going so fast hitting that stuff that if I was just late on shooting. But I could go back and pick out that frame that I want. Just know you're gonna end up with a lot more frames from here on out, but a good photographer is gonna be able to utilize this new technology better than someone who thinks they can buy this camera and just spray and pray their life away because they don't understand exposure, how to set their camera, how to get the right angles, and of course, composition and timing. Good photographers use technology to make them better. Bad photographers or photographers that don't know what they're doing aren't gonna get better results because of this new technology. They're just gonna get more photos and maybe they'll get lucky every once in a while. So fundamentals, guys, always comes back to fundamentals. Thank you very much for watching. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.